The King's Avatar, Chapter 1374, 37 consecutive wins. Audio source, WushAWorldAudiobook.com. Chapter 1374, 37 consecutive wins. Translator, Nomyami. Editor, Nomyami. A shot that Yi Zhu had so precisely calculated and fired of course wouldn't just be an ordinary attack. This was a Spitfire skill, stun bullet. The instant it hit, Lord Grimm was already pulling back and circling around. Then, he began his offensive, unspecialized blitz. This was a term that had circulated for a while now. Bai Shu had heard of it before, and he had studied it. He had felt that he wouldn't give Yi Zhu that kind of opportunity during the match. But now, he understood, it wasn't that he would give an opportunity, it was that the opponent would create the opportunity himself. After being hit by the stun bullet, Tide could no longer move, and so when Lord Grimm charged over, circled around to his back, and began attacking, what could he do? The paralysis status wore off fairly quickly, but Lord Grimm's offensive was far from over. Bai Shu tried to control Tide to block with his shield, because he just need to block one attack to rebalance the situation. But Yi Zhu had clearly considered this point from early on. Tide was a knight, which was a class that had a shield that gave them a natural advantage in interrupting the opponent's attack. This was why Yi Zhu had begun his attack from behind, preventing Bai Shu from controlling Tide to pull out his shield to block. Just like that, the famous Silver of Life became mere ornamentation. 37. The fans in Happy's home stadium were already cheering. A win streak lasting 37 rounds. How incredible of a record was that? It had never been done before, and it would likely never be repeated again. Right here, right now, this miraculous record was about to be born. Countless fans in the audience were rising from their seats, and Happy's die-hard fans had already made preparations beforehand. They were just waiting for the instant that Lord Grimm killed Tide for good, and then they would begin their celebration ceremony for this record. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. There wasn't much remembering of Tide's health. From some corner of the stadium, this countdown suddenly began, gradually spreading through the audience. By the time they reached 6, aside from a few depressed 301 fans, the entire stadium was chanting along. 5. Everyone stared at Tide's dwindling health bar. 4. Everyone watched Lord Grimm attack. 3. Everyone calculated the damage that was dealt by this attack. 2. Everyone once again checked Tide's remaining health. 1. Quote, another attack from Lord Grimm arrived, and everyone prayed, "Fall, you bastard." They didn't have any particular enmity toward Bai Shu, but in this moment, they cursed him with all their heart. 0. The cheers reached their peak, Lord Grimm's sword draw flashed out, and the blade scattered blood as it swung to the sky. And finally, Tide's health reached 0. 37. Quote, after 0, another number surged forward, but no one was surprised. This was what they had been waiting for. Bang 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 bang. The stadium erupted with fireworks, colorful confetti bursting forth to surround the whole stage. This was all clearly something that Happy fans had planned in advance. The fans who had the fireworks had arranged themselves in a ring all around the stadium, to allow this celebration to spread to all corners. Even in the middle of the away team's fan section, a spy had somehow infiltrated their midst and set off a firework, although it was only round. Probably that fan was soon forcibly stopped by the surrounding 301 fans. 37. Quote, in the midst of the confetti, the fans cheered all their might, and Chen Guo felt the tears beginning to stream down her cheeks. That guy, he had actually done it. He had started as an overnight manager at Happy Internet Cafe and established this team from scratch. He personally defeated Excellent Era, the team he had spent 7 years fighting for. He returned to this stage, and then he established this shocking record that perhaps no one would ever surpass, permanently carving his true name onto this homeland of glory. "Too incredible!" Chen Guo exclaimed, wiping at her tears. "It is." The shameless Wei Chen, for once, didn't have any words of mockery, and his voice was sincere and heavy as he answered Chen Guo. "Yes, it was really too incredible. How was this bastard so strong? Was he even stronger than he was 10 years ago? I can't believe him," Fang Rui yelled. "What about all the players in the future? This record is so ridiculous, it's disgusting. To surpass it, you'd need 38 consecutive wins." Tang Rou still saw that tiny thread of hope. "Boss is powerful, boss is dominating," said Steamed Bun. "As expected of senior," said Qiao Yivan. "It's amazing, I could never do that." Luo Ji said, "This is really our captain." Quote, "And when Yi was originally a Tyranny fan, and Yi Shu had always been the person he could never like too much, but now, he had essentially been converted into his fan." Mo Fan didn't say anything, but his eyes, like those of the others, were filled with marvel. Su Mucheng didn't say anything, either. She knew the hardships Yi Shu had endured these past 2 years, and she knew that this insane win streak wasn't just for himself but for another legacy. That character, Lord Grimm, should have been controlled by another person to shine on stage with power unstoppable. But unfortunately, that could never become reality. Now, Yi Shu had completed this season for him. He used the character Lord Grimm to leave behind a record that could never be erased. Perhaps no one would ever learn that other person's name, but Lord Grimm, this character he created, would forever remain in glory's history. It was amazing. Su Mucheng stood and clapped. She didn't cry, because she had always believed in Yi Shu. He said he would return, and so he returned. He said he would establish a win streak, and so he won 37 in a row. He said they would aim for the championship this season, and Su Mucheng believed that this championship would undoubtedly belong to Happy. The door to the competitor booth was opened. Yi Shu walked onto the stage, and the cheers of the crowd instantly grew even louder. Bang bang bang, another ring of fireworks was set off. The fans had planned to do another round at this moment, although the fireworks from the away team's seating came a fraction later. Still, even when surrounded by the strict monitoring of the 301 fans after the last round of fireworks, this brave man still managed to suddenly break through and fire again. He could be called the hero of the fans. 37. Everyone continued to holler. Yi Shu waved to the audience, expressing his thanks, before walking off stage. "What an incredible record." Quote, "At this moment, although the live broadcast was set to show 100 Blossom's match against Samsara, they suddenly took advantage of the break between battles to show the scene at Happy's Stadium. This, too, was something the broadcasters had arranged beforehand. They didn't choose to show this Happy vs 301 match, but they didn't want to miss the moment that this powerful record was born. They had to record this in video. Fortunately, when Yi Shu defeated Bai Shu, Samsara and 100 Blossoms had also just finished their first battle. The broadcast didn't care too much about how difficult it must have been for 100 Blossoms, as the away team, to earn a point against Samsara. As soon as they saw how perfectly the timing was, they didn't hesitate to switch the cameras over to Happy. The commentators Pan Lin and Li Yibo also couldn't be bothered to compliment the old General Zhang Wei or acknowledge how difficult it must have been for him to defeat Samsara's all-star Lu Boyuan. The two swiftly began to sing their praises for this terrifying win record that Yi Shu had established. WuxaWorldAudio.com. An incredible record, an incredible record. Pan Lin repeated this phrase 3 times, because he truly couldn't find any other words to describe it. 37 consecutive wins, Yizhu is really. Li Yibo also couldn't find the words. Amazing. Pan Lin found it. Li Yibo nodded, but he didn't echo it too much. Because of his tyranny background, it was already somewhat difficult for him to give impartial commentary on Yizhu. To extol him now, to proclaim him the greatest, Li Yibo suddenly felt somewhat uncomfortable. Happy's fans are very excited. These are all fireworks that they've set at the stadium. To celebrate this birth of this extraordinary record, Pan Lin described the scene at the stadium. Right now, Yizhu is walking off stage. The audience is giving him a standing ovation, and the players of the 2 teams as well. 301 is very dignified, even though this record was ultimately built from their defeat. Even the judge is coming over, standing at the side of the stage and applauding. This record is truly too moving. To be able to experience this moment in person is also a very fortunate thing. Pan Lin continued. The judge has finished clapping. It looks like he's saying something. He's insisting that the match continue. This judge is a bit strict. At such a historic moment, what's the harm in letting everyone be happy a little longer? Said Pan Lin. This is the final, most critical match, after all. Li Yibo said. The display screen is already showing the players for the next battle. Happy's Luo Ji, the MVP of last round, the rookie who's earned the respect and notice of us all. What about 301? It's the Blade Master Gao Ji. Let's return to Samsara vs 100 Blossoms. Pan Lin wiped at his forehead. He had almost begun to start commentating the match of Happy against 301. At Samsara's home stadium, the match had progressed to the second battle of the individual competition. 100 Blossoms had won the first battle, earning a first point, so this match was off to a good start for them. And 301 had lost a point first, which was good news for 100 Blossoms. But the primary competitor right now was still Wind Howl, and news from Tiny Herb's home stadium said that Wind Howl had also won their first battle. Having won 1 point, they continued to suppress 100 Blossoms by their superior head-to-head score. Don't worry about everyone else. We'll only have the right to seize our chance if we play our own matches well. 100 Blossoms captain Yu Feng encouraged his teammates. In the second battle of the individual round, they would be sending Do Guangyi against Samsara's vice-captain, Jiang Botao. Another win. A few minutes later, 100 Blossoms once again received good news. Zhou Guangyi defeated Jiang Botao, helping 100 Blossoms earn another point. 100 Blossoms is in excellent condition today. Pan Lin and Li Yibo both exclaimed. In these 2 consecutive matches, the 100 Blossoms players had performed exceptionally. And after the end of each match, everyone would immediately worry about the points of their direct competitors. 301 won the second individual battle against Happy, Pan Lin said, checking updates from the other matches. In Tiny Herb vs Wind Howl also won the second battle. Li Yibo added, looking in on that match. Well, it looks like 100 Blossoms is still behind. Pan Lin sighed. Even though they'd managed to win 2 points from the powerful Samsara, they still hadn't been able to change the situation. This could be quite a blow to morale. Hopefully 100 Blossoms won't be disrupted. They need to adjust their mentality and play their next battles well. This is only the beginning, said Li Yibo. Nom yummy bad news folks, updates are going to slow down to maybe 1 chapter every 2 days for the next 2-ish weeks. I will be going on vacation to Japan from 12/12 to 12/25. Our other two main translators, Cincogon and Jouissance, are also very busy around that time and cannot translate either. End chapter. The King's Avatar. Chapter 1375 Seeking Victory. Audio source, WuxaWorldAudiobook.com. Chapter 1375 Seeking Victory. Translator, Nomyami. Editor, Nomyami. Reality was cruel. 100 Blossoms had taken 2 points from Samsara with great difficulty, yet they were still in a predicament. It was a huge blow to their morale. Although their captain Yufeng was constantly trying to encourage them, every player had a different personality. Not everyone was so tenacious. Team 100 Blossoms' third player in the individual competition, their summoner Zhu Xiaoping, was downcast. Knowing that 100 Blossoms could not afford to lose a single point, the pressure bearing down on him was enormous. In the end, he performed poorly and lost to Samsara's assassin, Wu Qi. At the same time, news from 2 other matches came, which only added hail to snow for 100 Blossoms. Team 301 had won against Happy, taking a 2-1 lead with the individual competition. Wind Howl had swept the individual competition against Tiny Herb, taking all 3 points. If 100 Blossoms wanted to surpass Wind Howl, they would now need to win 2 more points over them instead of 1. After Zhu Xiaoping, who had just gone down from the stage, heard this news, the color on his face became even paler. He wanted to apologize to his teammates, but he didn't know what to say. He just stood there like a statue, unable to even find his own seat. We're going to need to win 2 more points than Wind Howl, or win 3 more points than 301. What your thoughts, everyone? Captain Yufeng said. Everyone was dead silent. Or to be more precise, it should be what are your thoughts, and what are your thoughts? Yufeng looked over 2 players, Zhou Yuan and Zheng Xinran. They would be the players going up in the group arena. Yufeng ignored the rest of the team and only picked out the 2 players, who would be fighting for the points. I won't give up. Zhou Yuan spoke firmly. Yufeng nodded his head and felt gratified. In fact, Zhou Yuan held more seniority than him in 100 Blossoms. He was the successor of 100 Blossoms Spitfire, the core of the team for many years. But after his arrival, Zhou Yuan was perfectly happy to give him full authority in the team. This sort of trust and acceptance made Yufeng even more confident that he had made the right choice. Right now, with their backs to the walls, Yufeng trusted that Zhou Yuan would not let him down, and he would put in his utmost as well. Yufeng and Zhou Yuan both turned to Zheng Xinran. Fight. What's there to be afraid of? Zheng Xinran responded. In his very first match on the professional stage, he had been so nervous that his entire body had froze. To Zheng Xinran, that was his most shameful moment. From then on, he carried the attitude that it was impossible to ever do worse than that time. In fact, he became braver and braver on stage until he gradually rose to his position in 100 Blossoms. A position high enough such that in this crucial match, the team had sent him up for the group arena. Seeing the determination of his 2 seniors, Zheng Xinran found no reason to retreat and boldly stood together with the 2 of them. Good. Yufeng said in a voice loud enough for the entire team to hear. What's there to be afraid of? If we win the group arena and Wind Howl loses theirs, we'll take the lead, Yufeng said. Watch us. Zhou Yuan was 100 Blossoms vice-captain. In this crucial moment, he would bear the burden together with Yufeng. Let's go, Yufeng said. Yes, Captain. Zheng Xinran replied loudly. At age 17, he strode forward at the very front. This was Samsara's home stadium. They would receive no encouragement or support, but their hearts were firm. They knew that in City K countless Hundred Blossom fans were waiting for them to grab the ticket to playoffs, and there was only way to get that ticket: win. The other matches were taking place at roughly the same pace. When the group arena between Hundred Blossoms and Samsara began, Wind Howl's three players, their fighting spirits burning, were continuing their charge towards Tiny Herb. Zhao Yuzhe started the group arena, facing Tiny Herb's Gao Yingji. The two were rookies of the same generation. Gao Yingji joined the champion team Tiny Herb as soon he began and received countless attention. It seemed as if it had already been predetermined that he would be best rookie that season. However, in Season 8, the best rookie title was given to Zhao Yuzhe. Why not Gao Yingji? It was because he had played in too few matches and didn't qualify for the best rookie contention. The title had been awarded to Zhao Yuzhe, but in response, many people simply sighed. It was a pity that Gao Yingji hadn't been given enough chances to play this season. Zhao Yuzhe was very unhappy, extremely unhappy. If he wasn't given enough chances to go on stage, then it meant he wasn't ready yet. However, everyone seemed to think that if Gao Yingji had played in enough matches, the title of Best Rookie wouldn't have been given to that Zhao guy. Zhao Yuzhe didn't believe it. He didn't believe that this so-called genius was anything incredible. But in Season 9, Gao Yingji, who had failed to qualify for Best Rookie, had directly been chosen into All-Stars. And Zhao Yuzhe? He still carried the title Rookie, and was still maturing in Wind Howl. Even more infuriating was that season, a little demon had popped out of Blue Rain, taking the title Best Rookie and voted into All-Stars. In the Glory Alliance, the title Best Rookie had first been awarded in Season 3 to Wang Jiexi, Zhang Xinji in Season 4, Zhou Zekai in Season 5, Yu Feng in Season 6, Sun Xiang in Season 7, him in Season 8, Lu Hanwen in Season 9. Every player who had been awarded the title Best Rookie became all-stars or even gods. In comparison, the name Zhao Yuzhe seemed pitifully pathetic among them. He was often nicknamed the worst Best Rookie by some. "I'm definitely not trash." Zhao Yuzhe really wanted to prove himself, and Gao Yingji, the same generation rookie who many believe should have received the title of Best Rookie, was an eyesore to him. "I'll definitely give you a good beating." Zhao Yuzhe made a firm decision. "Come, genius." Quote. After the match began, Zhao Yuzhe called out into the chat. He was going to tell everyone that a genius was nothing special. Gao Yingji didn't reply. He simply had his kind tree quickly move forward. The group arena map was neither complicated nor simple, a balanced map. Gao Yingji flew directly towards the center of the map. Zhao Yuzhe didn't want to show fear either. His elementalist, Beautiful Light, also moved swiftly. Not long afterwards, the two sides met. Piercing lightning. Zhao Yuzhe wanted to make a show of his strength to Gao Yingji. As soon as Kind Tree entered Beautiful Light's range, he immediately acted. Lightning flashed, but at such a distance, no matter how fast the attack, it wouldn't be able to threaten Gao Yingji. He easily shifted to the side, dodging the piercing lightning. Forward. Kind Tree moved like the wind towards his opponent. Team Tiny Herb was currently in 4th place. But it would be difficult for them to move up or down from 4th, unlike Wind Howl and Hundred Blossoms who were placing their entire season's hopes onto this single match. WuxaWorldAudio.com. However, Tiny Herb definitely wasn't a team that would just simply give away a free win. The first day Gao Yingji came to Tiny Herb, the first word he heard was champions. They were a champion team. They existed to be the champions, and champions were always built upon victories. They would never give up on the pursuit for victory. A team that aspired to be the champions should never let up. Boom. The spells by the two mages collided into brilliant lights. Gao Yingji did not have Kind Tree stop though. These were the steps to victory, the steps to become champions. Zhao Yuzhe was astonished. He could clearly feel Gao Yingji's determination in a match that didn't even matter to Tiny Herb. Was it because he felt it was embarrassing for Tiny Herb to lose all 3 matches in the individual competition? Zhao Yuzhe always thought about things from this perspective. He looked at himself and the team in this way. He also wanted to win, but his reason for winning was to show off his skill, to let everyone know his might. Even at the bottom of his heart, winning the championships was simply a way to show off. This was glory, not flaunting. Zhao Yuzhe clearly didn't think so, so he couldn't understand Tiny Herb. He couldn't understand Gao Yingji's pursuit for the championships, nor his heartfelt pursuit for glory. "I won't let your arrogance run rampant." Quote. That was all Zhao Yuzhe could think about. In terms of spirit, he had already lost. What about skill? Gao Yingji was called a genius, and that wasn't a title just anyone could have. Boom. The witch's spells gradually suppressed the elementalists. Kind Tree finally made his way to beautiful light, and elementalists could not match witches in close combat capabilities. Shit. Zhao Yuzhe hastily tried to teleport. Beautiful light shifted away, creating distance between them. But who didn't know how to use teleport? Kind Tree was a mage subclass. He had added the teleport skill to his weapon, Morning Dew. With a flicker, Kind Tree pulled her closer to beautiful light. His teleport was only level 1 though, so his teleport distance wasn't as far as beautiful light. But with just a sweep of his broom, Morning Dew, he instantly closed that remarring distance. How annoying. Zhao Yuzhe refused to admit defeat. As he shouted at Kind Tree's Morning Dew swung downwards. Beautiful light hastily dodged, but that swing had been exceptionally fast. Gravity-accelerated sweep. Magic was used to increase the gravity and thus the speed of the swing to strengthen the strike. Bang! Morning Dew didn't hit beautiful light but rather the ground. With a loud bang, the force from the gravity-accelerated swing produced a shockwave. Beautiful light had just jumped away to dodge the swing, was hit by the shockwave and shot up even higher. Kind Heart leapt onto his broom and flew towards the airborne beautiful light. Pa pa pa. Morning Dew struck beautiful light again and again. These simple attacks didn't contain any other meaning. Gao Yingji and Kind Tree would always only have a single goal: victory. Glory. The word glory flashed onto the big screen. Any pro player, any glory player would see this single word who knew how many times every day. For some, it was a word that was rooted deeply in their hearts. For others, it was simply a symbol of victory. Glory only belonged to those who truly cared. End chapter.
The King's Avatar, Chapter 1376, So-Called Talent. Audio source, wuxia-worldaudiobook.com. Chapter 1376, So-Called Talent. Translator, Gnome Yummy. Editor, Gnome Yummy. In the Tiny Herb vs. Wind Howl, Tiny Herb has taken the first round of the group arena. As the match between Samsara and 100 Blossoms continued in the live broadcast, Pan Lin also stayed alert for updates from other matches. If the other matches had developments, the people there would also prioritize sending the information to the live broadcast. Oh, this is good news for 100 Blossoms. Although 100 Blossoms themselves, Li Yibo cut off mid-sentence. On this side, the first round of the group arena had not yet finished, but 100 Blossoms' situation didn't look too good. Zheng Xingren entered the stage with a fearless attitude, and played quite courageously. However, Sun Shang, who was first up for Samsara, was not merciful in the slightest. In a head-to-head, Zheng Xingren still fell short in terms of technical skill. Zhang Xingren really didn't have many options open to him in this situation, since he did not have the experience to compensate. He desperately fought with nothing but his stubborn refusal to accept defeat. Zhang Xingren was at his limits and did all he could, but unfortunately, he still ultimately lost to Sun Shang. Can 100 Blossoms not seize this opportunity, when it's finally a new era for them? Pan Lin said. All the 100 Blossoms fans sitting in front of the TV wiped the sweat from their brows. It was one thing if they claimed a big victory, but were still knocked out of top 8 because their competitors also won hard. However, if their competitors' match was already falling apart and 100 Blossoms didn't seize this opportunity, the regret would probably be harder to endure. Fightin'. Every 100 Blossoms fan cheered for their team wholeheartedly. They still had 2 players, and they happened to be 100 Blossoms core players. The fans believed that they wouldn't lose so easily. Fight to the last breath. Zhou Yuan entered the stage with such conviction. He wasn't some prodigy. His current core position was already a fluke. 100 Blossoms had been looking toward the future when they hyped up his talent with the public, but Zhou Yuan knew deep down that it was simply a public relations move to appease the fans. He was pushed into the core position by 100 Blossoms because they really had no other choice. Talent. Zhou Yuan didn't know what talent he possessed back then. He was confident that 100 Blossoms didn't know either. But he was very grateful. He was grateful that 100 Blossoms used this kind of helpless and senseless method to promote him. He was grateful that the team actually kept their faith in him patiently. He did not perform well in Seasons 7 and 8. In Season 9, instead of abandoning him, 100 Blossoms instead measured him up and tailored a character to his style. In the pro circle, there was a joke that the previous Spitfire of 100 Blossoms, Zhang Jiali, possessed upstanding moral qualities. Thus, his successor possessed outstanding fortune. This was a joke, but Zhou Yuan had to admit that he really was fortunate. He wasn't some eye-catching prodigy. He could not forge a path to a core position himself. He was just an ordinary player, who somehow became a core player of a team as soon as he entered the professional circle. He actually came across this kind of dumb luck. Zhou Yuan had felt hesitant, perplexed, and overly pressured. But when he came to, he realized that he was like the child of a rich parent. He was given something that others would chase for a lifetime and still not obtain, without doing anything himself. At this point, how could he still yell out, "This isn't what I wanted"? He would probably be beat up by a group consisting of the whole alliance's regular players, rotating players, substitutes, and even those who wanted to get into the alliance but who couldn't. If you didn't even want this, then what the hell did you want? As a result, Zhou Yuan started working hard. Because he knew this was a rare opportunity. He didn't have a gift and also didn't know what his so-called talent was. He could only double down and train hard. He would forge his talent by grinding. In Season 9, 100 Blossoms acquired Yu Feng. The additional core took a lot of pressure off Zhou Yuan. And this season, he had made great progress. Now in Season 10, he managed to get himself into All-Stars with his own skills. However, up until now, Zhou Yuan still didn't know what his so-called talent was. He just knew to display his hard-earned skill on the battlefield, to find more paths towards victory. Every player probably did this. While honing their own skills, they would slowly develop their own talent. Zhou Yuan always thought of it that way. Now, 100 Blossoms faced a do-or-die match. He needed to use his yet-to-be-awakened talent to battle someone who was dubbed a genius in the alliance. But Zhou Yuan did not feel fear. He was no longer that newbie who struggled to shoulder a character like dazzling 100 Blossoms. He snatched up his outlandish luck, he possessed his own tailored character, and he nurtured his own confidence. Charge. Bright blossoms rushed forward. Bullets, explosives. He created a dazzling scene of his own. He was the successor to Zhang Jiali, but had a different style to him. Zhou Yuan controlled Bright Blossoms to tangle with the renowned One Autumn Leaf in combat from the get-go. I don't know what talent I have, but I can defeat any opponent. Beautiful play. 100 Blossoms. Zhou Yuan seems to be unfazed by the current situation. He's proactively launched an offensive and currently has Sun Shang firmly suppressed. Commentator Pan Lin yelled excitedly. He's playing resolutely but also clear-headedly. His attacks are strong, and he's defending well too. The group arena isn't just defeating the opponent in front of you. There are still two opponents after Sun Shang, Li Yibo said. Especially when one of them is currently the number one in the alliance, Zhou Zakai, Pan Lin added. Even though 100 Blossoms won against Samsara last time 7-3, I recall that they didn't win the group arena, Li Yibo said. Yes, last time 100 Blossoms got 2 points in the individual competition. Pan Lin agreed. Well, what about this time? Li Yibo said. This time, after sending off Sun Shang, Zhou Yuan welcomed his second opponent, Samsara's Blade Master Du Ming. 2 more. Zhou Yuan counted in his head calmly and continued to charge forth. Zhou Yuan is in fantastic condition right now. Pan Lin yelled. Zhou Yuan again proactively launched an offensive this battle, and quickly gained the initiative. It really is fantastic. Li Yibo also exclaimed. It must be good. There is no reason for it not to be. I had this kind of luck and hit the ground running. If I don't cherish this opportunity, what kind of future would I still have? What future would be even more brilliant than that I already had when I first started? Having an iron grasp on my fluke, fighting tooth and nail to not let the opportunity slip away. That is probably my so-called talent. The talent of not letting go of an opportunity that presented itself. Because I'm the pro player who was given the best opportunity in glory history. Boom, boom, boom. As the bright flashes on the battlefield died down and the smoke cleared away, Du Ming's Blade Master was already on the ground. He won again. Pan Lin was astonished. Even though he felt Zhou Yuan was in great condition, he didn't expect Zhou Yuan to go that far. WuxiaWorldAudio.com. He managed to defeat Sun Shang and Du Ming, while still having 41% health left on Bright Blossoms. Is this guy preparing for a 1v3? Pan Lin yelled. Li Yibo was silent. His gut tells him that this would be impossible. 1v3 was hard enough, and their current opponent was Samsara. However, Li Yibo could also see that Zhou Yuan was insanely fired up. A Bright Blossoms with 41% health remaining, under the control of the currently unleashed Zhou Yuan, might just be able to beat the current glory number 1 Zhou Zakai. How's that going on Wind Howl's side? Li Yibo suddenly asked for information from the other matches. He wanted to calm himself a bit. Zhou Yuan's sudden unleashing defeating 2 opponents in a row had the commentators very tense. Tiny Herb is leading 2-1. Wind Howl only has Tang Hao remaining. Pan Lin said very excitedly, even though he was a commentator and should not be biased. This was because he saw the amazing opening by 100 Blossoms falter, followed by their hush and hesitancy after the loss of a point, and now their struggle to claw back 2 points. Humans had emotion. How would Pan Lin not be moved after seeing this struggle? He was really unwilling to see 100 Blossoms' season come to an end by losing this match, even after they gave it their all. That would be too cruel. Even though this kind of feeling would be unfair to Wind Howl, Pan Lin's heart was with 100 Blossoms right now. Li Yibo also had to take a deep breath. Why shouldn't he feel like this? Why shouldn't 100 Blossoms deserve an outcome they worked so hard for? What about Happy versus 301? Li Yibo asked again. On that side, 301 is in the lead. Pan Lin said. If 301 wins the group arena, then they would be up 4-1 against Happy, Li Yibo said. Indeed, Pan Lin nodded. In that case, if Happy lost the team competition as well, they would only get 1 point this round. Li Yibo said. Pan Lin started. Happy only getting 1 point. This possibility was analyzed way before the matches started. Under these circumstances, Pan Lin hurriedly counted the points using the current results in 100 Blossoms and Wind Howl's 2 matches. Happy initially led 100 Blossoms and Wind Howl by 7 points. If they only got 1 point, they would be AEAD by 8. If 100 Blossoms won this group arena and went on to win the team competition, they would have 9 points and overtake Happy. Wind Howl already has 3 points from the individual competition. The group arena looks bad for them, so let's say they lose these 2 points and go on to win the team competition. They would get 8 points and have the same points as Happy. Happy has a chance to be pushed out of the top 8? Pan Lin said with great alarm, and hastily checked the previous results. If they had the same points. Oh, no they wouldn't. Happy would have the advantage if they had the same points as Wind Howl. Happy has already secured their spot in the top 8. If this happened, Wind Howl would be pushed to 9th because they lost to Happy twice, Pan Lin said. If Happy won instead, 301 would get 4 points added to the 2-point lead they had. With only 6 points, they would be pushed out of the top 8 if 100 Blossoms and Wind Howl both managed to win their respective team competitions. Li Yibo said. Ah, so it's like this huh? Pan Lin nodded. So in conclusion, the team competition is crucial. Whoever loses the team competition out of these 3 teams could then potentially lose their spot in the playoffs. Li Yibo said, and